Right, hello, hello. See if we're live. Looks like it. All right. Cool. All right. So how's everybody doing? Let's see where we got this started a little while ago, last week. Working on this little guy. It's a creature for the game. This is our concept, little sketch that Harrison did for us. So yeah, we're gonna try to work on the inside of the head today. Just check this is all working. Okay, it looks like it's working. I've got some new setup stuff, so let me know, comment or whatever if the volume is not good or needs balancing or whatever, but alright. So yeah, so we're working on this guy. We might see if we can make a little rough draft for this guy too. But the priority for now is going to be to work on the inside of the head, you know, the mouth, all that stuff. So let's see, we left off. We had jumped back to Maya. So I think in order to work out the interior here, we're going to have to do a little retopology. So I guess we'll just bite the bullet and get down to it. Right. Retopology is one of those chores that we'll probably never be rid of. Lots of people like to advertise, you know, the end of retopology, automatic retopology tools, things like that, but I don't really believe it will ever go away. No, it's just too important to get it right. At least it is to me. Maybe some people don't care. But I care. There we go. There's symmetry doing its characteristic thing where it doesn't work. If anybody out there like has symmetry working for them, let me know, man, because it's like one of those things. It just seems like it should work, and it just kind of doesn't. Very consistently, like very consistently doesn't work. Like it'll work, like on something really simple, but once you start, you know, like actually working on a project, it just like it's so bad. So, and I feel like something that key, like that fundamental, like I must be missing something. But I don't know. Gonna go ahead and assign a darker material to this. So the reason it's so important to kind of get this topology right is so we can kind of make like a simple rig to like be able to open up the mouth, at least be able to manage 2 poses for it. And that's because, you know, a key thing these guys, I want them to do in the game is I want them to be able to jump at you and open their mouth to attack, right? And that'll be their weak spot. So we'll actually have some like colliders set up so that there'll be like a collider on the inside that you'll only be able to hit based on, you know, the animation frames when they attack. And so, you know, it has to look right in there. So I'm trying to kind of prioritize those sorts of details. Yeah, retopology is always kind of the same sort of general flow for me. I try to kind of focus on the like contours, you know, kind of like block in the contours with some simple like poly strips, and then just kind of go through and connect them. AI for these guys should be pretty fun because it should be nice and simple. Don't have to worry about them taking cover or doing anything like that. I just kind of, you know, they can just sort of beeline after the player, give them sort of a slow turn rate so that they kind of skid through their turns. And then when they get close enough, they'll just jump. And that jump can probably be just a simple animation with root motion. So as far as coding, that should be pretty simple. Just play the montage. And then, you know, we'll just hit test, see if they hit the player or not. And the animation will open up the jaws, and so you'll have a chance to dodge to the side while taking a shot. We had something pretty similar set up in our very first iteration of this game many, many years ago. And it was fun, so I'm pretty confident it'll be fun in this, because we've already sort of got that concept tested. Of course, we won't know it till we try. Is this guy not centered? Oh, that's interesting. How'd this happen? That's not good. That's how that happened. When I imported to ZBrush, it wasn't centered. Let's see. That's how am I gonna fix this? Well, this is already a Dynamesh, so I don't really have to worry about losing details. Yeah. Alright, so I'm just gonna manually just snap this guy back into the center. Oh, there we go. He'd already been transformed. There. There we go. That'll do. It's weird, it's not preventing negative scale. This should let me scale those down and make it stop, but whatever. Maybe symmetry can help us out? I find world works a little better than object. Neither one really works, but slightly better. Take what we can get. As always, I'm focused on trying to preserve the silhouette of our original mesh. I am trying to be conscious of my usage of quads and triangles because this will be animated, and if this may or may not end up being like the actual final game low poly. Yeah, but if it's good enough, then we can use it. So, hopefully we'll be able to do that. So, I am trying to be a little conscious of that. But I've also got to go fast, so I'm not going to be like agonizing over, you know, a triangle here or there. Hey, what's up, MSim Cook? That's right, we're doing some creature design. Just got started a little bit ago. We're working on kind of doing a sort of rough retopology for the head so that we can pose it and work on the inside of the mouth. So I'm gonna have kind of like a, normally rigging is done last, but because this has such a kind of dynamic, movable mouth that'll be, constantly moving in game, it's important for the art to be, correct on the inside. So we're prioritizing that. This is a good trick whenever you've got like kind of a large low detail area transitioning into a higher detail area. You can take a quad and convert it to 2 quads with this kind of pattern. Very handy. I imagine your game is going to have some pretty interesting creatures. It's kind of feel like that's sort of lacking from a lot of games, Like the golden age of weird creatures has sort of passed. Could be an opportunity. Yeah, I don't know why I don't know why the auto moderation keeps tagging your game. That's pretty funny. But yeah, dude. So yeah, so Imsim Cook's working on a game, and he says he's got, he's got some creature ideas too. And yeah, he'll need some help with creature design in however many years. Hopefully it won't be that long. But when you get there, you can always play back these videos. Maybe it'll help a little. This has always been one of my favorite parts of game design. Especially like just kind of like weird creatures that have like a lot of texture. It's kind of like what ZBrush is designed for. Right, also this is a good outside of the head. Now we need to work on the inside. Oh yeah. Yeah, and I'm gonna try to kind of get the same sort of texture and look for the inside of the mouth too. I am. Yeah, I am. So I use ZBrush. It's kind of like I'm kind of always sort of going back and forth. I use I use Maya to make the rough block in first. Yeah, this guy. Because, I don't know, you could do that in ZBrush too. It's just a little easier for me in Maya. But so I use Maya to come up with like that kind of rough shape. Then I take that to ZBrush and I, sculpt on that shape just using Dynamesh and simple sculpting tools because I don't have to worry about the topology that way and I can focus on the shapes. Then I take it back into Maya and I use that as a base to do retopology. So yeah, now I've got actual points that are all like, carefully, flowing around. And the main reason for that is so I can animate it. Or like kind of basically rig it. So let's see, I think I'm gonna actually try that. So this is a little bit of rigging. I'll start with some joints and then see, so this will be the root joint. I can turn on X-ray joints, I think. Where is that? There we go, that helps a little. So that will be the root. This will be like the base of the top lip, and then this will be the base of the bottom left. And so the key here is to get the joints all kind of like aligned, like with their axes. And these are going to drive the deformation of the mesh. And so where you position it has a lot to do with how the deformation will look. So kind of trying to think a little bit about, like, you know, this guy's anatomy, skeleton, something like that. And I should be able to do this. There we go, mirror joints. Okay, so now I've got a left and a right joint that are opposites, and these will all be parented to the root. So now we've got this little skeleton going on. I don't know if you can see that, it's kind of low contrast. So will I always have to place a joint at the origin of the model first? It doesn't have to be the origin, but it's just the root bone. And so like, this will probably be, I'll probably build onto this skeleton to build the rest of the rig. So this won't be the root, it'll be more like the center spine control or something like that. In fact, now that I think about it, I should probably make this not the root at all, but like the top, like the end of the spine. In which case it should probably go more like here. That ought to work. And then I can just adjust the draw radius of these. Right. And in the final I might have more bones for the jaws to give them a little more like articulation, but for right now I'll probably just map all of that to these. Cool, so now, let me go ahead and check this into source control. Approaching the point where you can make big mistakes. That's just uploading. Alright. So now, select all the bones, and then select your mesh, and come in here, and say skin, find skin. Oh, and actually, hang on, I missed a step. So first off, this isn't necessary, but you see how these have like rotation values on them? We want these to be zeroed so that I can snap them back to their initial position easily. And I have a little script that makes that a little easier. Yeah, so I can just select that. And it just moves those transforms onto a group. So now the actual bones, or actually, hang on, no, I'm doing this wrong. Sorry, I do that for the controls, not the bones. It's okay for the bones to have transforms. What I should be doing is starting to make the controls. which a good way to do that is with circles, NURBS circles. And the reason for that, symmetry. There we go. All right. So the reason for that is because I can go into the display settings and I can just hide NURBS curves, and that'll hide all the controls. So that's handy. So here's the process for this. Parent the NURBS curve to the joint and then 0 its transforms. And now I actually want this to... Oh, come on. So I'm just editing the control points to make this kind of fit a little more naturally. Like that. Call that control top. Then we'll unparent it. There. Now see, it has transforms. Now we use our little group thing, and that creates an offset node. So now I can move this and then reset it, and it goes back to where it was. It goes back to this position and not the world origin. Okay, a little convoluted. And then we repeat, so get another one. Another NURBS circle. Parent this one to the right. And what's fun about this, like later down the line, you can make custom control shapes. Just kind of makes your rigs look a little more professional. Call that control right. And then I'll just duplicate it, parent it to the left. Unparent it. Now it's control left. Now we do the same thing. We add our offset. Add our offset. And now see, as I move this, I can reset it to 0. And that works pretty nicely. Cool. And then we'll have we should have a root control. So this will be our control root. Then we parent all that to that. So now if I move this, those move along with it. And I can move these individually. Okay, we're getting somewhere. Yeah, it's this stuff is different rigging. All right, so now this is the neat part. So we've got these, and they're all lined up with our joints, and hopefully you can see this. So as I but basically you see as I rotate this, the joint doesn't move, right? I need the joint to move, but the joint has all these weird transforms, and they need to be kept that way. So here's the idea. The idea is let's have this drive this, right? Because we've got our transform stacks all like separated and zeroed. So that's kind of the plan. We'll use this to drive this, and then this will drive the mesh. So we can do that by adding a parent constraint. And a parent constraint basically does exactly the same as if this were parented. So if you watch, I can parent this here. And see how now when I move this, the NURBS curve, that moves with it. But now this is a child here, and we don't want that because we want to maintain our skeleton hierarchy. So I can use a parent constraint node instead. And I always mix up the order, but basically the way it works is you select the driver, then you select the driven, and then you go constrain, parent, and I want to say maintain offset, and then add. And you see the channels just turned blue. That means they're constrained. And so now we haven't changed our hierarchy, but you see we've added this constraint. So now if I select this and I move it, it moves the joint. So now I just need to do the same thing for the left. No, I just did the left. I need to do the top to the top and the right to the right. There we go. See that? Now I can move that and I can reset it. If I move that off to the side, I can reset it and it goes right back to where it belongs. You follow just like the joints follow. Sorry, bad pun. Alright, so now we can actually use these joints for what they're intended for, which is to drive this skeleton, or mesh. So, select this, select all the joints, and then select the mesh, and then say skin, bind skin. And you see how the joints just changed color? Well, watch this. Now when I move this, well, basically you see when I move this, that moves along with it. But it's all moving together. And that's all because of the influences. Alright, so now something's not right here, because see how this should be... my transforms look like they got reset. Yeah, what happened to my rotations here? I want this to be such that the axis that this rotates around is aligned on a diagonal. And I thought I had done that. But maybe I messed that up. So I'm actually going to unbind this and try to fix this up. Okay, yeah, so see how the y-axis of the rotator is aligned at a diagonal? That's what I want. This one is not. Yeah, something happened there, so let's just redo this. I see. So for whatever reason, that script is not doing the rotation. Maybe that's just a bug with the script. Oh. Okay, there we go. So I'm basically just doing the scripting by hand. There. Now I have what I want. Now my y-axis is on an angle with that, so let's control left 0 for offset. And then we gotta recreate our parent constraint. And now all's right with the world on that side. We need to redo it here. This is what drives you the craziest about rigging is, you know, it's all, you can't mirror it at all. You just gotta you know, kind of do it all by hand. Unless you've got scripts that do the mirroring, but that's pretty complicated. Uh-oh, this whole joint is messed up. So I actually need to recreate that joint. I'll do that with... Here it is, mirror joints, okay. There. Now when I parent that, it inherits its rotation. Then I can unparent it. It gets all the rotations there. Create an empty. Parent it to that. Reset. Then unparent it again. So it copies the rotations. Then parent it again. So we've just basically transferred those transforms off of this control onto this null. And now we can select our control and our new joint and parent them. There, now I'm happy. So now we've got our control hierarchy and our bind skeleton. Mute that. It works, yeah. I'm always a little surprised when it works too. Alright, so... Right, so now I just got to select all these, select that, and now we bind the skin. And now you see how the rotator's lined up right. There we go. So now it's moving the jaw the way that I want it to. But it's moving the whole mesh along with it. So now we need to edit the skin influences on the mesh. And there's a free plugin called NG Skin Tools that's very nice for this. So the default Maya plugin, the default Maya skinning tools are very bad. NG Skin Tools is much better. So here we go. So what I want now is to paint the influences for each joint. There. So you see the top, so I'm selecting the top joint, and so the white shows, it basically shows a gradient between white and black, white being complete influence and black being no influence at all. Oops. So what I want, what's going on here? Ah, here's the problem. So I'm painting 0 when I mean to be painting 1. And let's change the mode to add. So I'm adding more control to the top bone. And I want it to be kind of blended on the intersection there. Now I want to go to the right, which is this one. And so I want to add influence, and you see as I'm adding it, it's taking it away from the other side. That's because it's mirrored. Smooth, and then left. There we go. So now, if I move this, ta-da! Now it's moving just the jaw. And if I select them all, oops, this is where the transforms are really important. I want it to be so that like I can rotate them all on the same axis and they all move the same way. It's not strictly necessary to get that right just at this moment, because this is not like the actual game rig. It's just to, you know, let us do this. But yeah, so here's the idea. I'll go here to frame 100 and set a key, and then go back to frame 0. It's gone wrong. So how did this get this rotation value? Hmm. So that got screwed up somehow. I wonder if I can just do this manually. Let me try this. So this is negative 26.5. This is negative 8.52. So what if nice. There. Yeah, I don't want to run into this guy. Gonna eat ya. So, what I'm hoping I can do now is duplicate this and then delete all the history on this one. There, now I've got a mesh. So what I just did was, because it had some connections from the old skin, so I just exported an OBJ and then re-imported it. And so now I've got a mesh that's in the exact same pose as that, and so I can use this to start building up the inside of the mouth. Oh yeah, animation is awesome. It's really like kind of like the like the point where, you know, this all stops being just like abstract and kind of becomes real, because your stuff's moving around and it's alive, you know. Personally, kind of not much of an animator. Like, it's just hard for me to make animations that look good. I don't know what it is about it. Harrison's really good though, so that works out well. Alright, so the idea here is to create a base mesh that we can bring into ZBrush and start sculpting the interior details of the mouth on. Okay. Oh yeah, thanks. Yeah, we're still kind of working through some of the details. I'll keep you posted. Hopefully, it shouldn't be too much longer till that's all squared away. Alright. So we want something kind of sandworm-ish. Maybe. Yeah, the question is this thing gonna get a ton of teeth? Probably like a bunch of little teeth. Yeah, like tons of little ones, kind of like that. Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. We'll just start out by seeing what looks good. Uh-oh. Stream still going? Just had a computer freeze. Hopefully we're still online. Something I did my computer didn't like. Alright, good. Oh yeah, what's going on there? There we go. Alright, we're back. Yeah, it's some kind of weird little stutter. But whatever. Looks like we're back now. Right, definitely want this thing to be real gross and menacing. The kind of creature that makes people say, "What are games coming to?" That's right. Like id Software being all over the news for making their horrible games. Thanks. Yeah, hopefully it'll turn out good in the bakes and the textures. I don't wanna over detail it, but I do want it to be obvious when it's open. Yeah. Hey, Wooby, what's up? Or Wub. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your screen name. It's, you know, it's all in context. It's part of this guy. Right? So we've got... It's all according to plan, okay? It's, this is a... The idea is this is a baby sandworm. These will be some little creatures that you encounter in the game. This is the, like, tadpole version, and then they grow into these, and then these grow into, like, big, like, dune-style sandworms. And so the inside of these guys' mouth has to look, you know, kind of sandwormy. You know, I'm not making the rules, I'm just trying to, you know, do my job here. And so the idea is they'll be kind of like the skags from Borderlands, like in how they play. Like, yeah, they'll kind of run after you and, you know, open their mouth and dive, try to bite you. And, yeah, so, and that'll be a weak spot too. So when they open it, you know, we want it to be real obvious that it's a real, you know, weak spot. So, you know, you blast them in their, you know, stupid mouth and they'll take massive damage and die. Yeah, Harrison did these doodles. Harrison's the other guy working on the game with me. Yeah, he did a good job on these. They're pretty funny. And so yeah, this is the second stream only working on this. We got started and this is how he was when I started. And then in about 3 hours, we got him to this point here. And so yeah, now we're focusing on the interior of the mouth, and soon we should be able to move on to making the game model and getting him textured. So yeah, it's been a little journey so far. Glad you can join us for it. Yeah, they do sort of look like some sort of dino puppies, don't they? Oh yeah, well, and the best part is the little ones. They're just gonna be like the little flood spores in Halo, how they just kind of beeline towards you, and when they hit you, they just explode. That's gonna kind of be their MO. So they'll be hopping after you, looking all cute, and then, you know, they'll just explode into acid and blood. You know, classic video game type stuff. The goal is for this game to go so hard it gets banned in the EU. Oh yeah, cool. So yeah, you got one of our commenters says he's just kind of working on a commission and got nothing going on, so just decided to hang out. That's perfect. I do that kind of stuff all the time when I'm doing some freelance that's just sort of boring. I'll, you know, find someone, you know, that's, you know, doing something more interesting and, you know, stream it. That's an interesting idea. A suggestion from ImSim Cook. If the pups can explode producing acid, what if the player decided to pick some up and throw them at the robots? That's a cool idea. Yeah, I like that. Maybe there's an item that you can find or you know, build or something that's like just like an acid jar grenade or something. Yeah, that'd be sweet. And then every time you kill these guys, they drop ammo for it, right? That would kind of, you know, that would kind of play in well with the open world aspect of the game, because you could like go hunting for them. You know, like if that item is, maybe that item is particularly good against a certain kind of enemy, like the robots, because it's like corrosive and they're metal, so they're like vulnerable to it. So then it'd be kind of like, you know, you go to the area that's got a lot of these guys, so you can like farm them to acquire more acid before you go and do like a big like robot level. That'd be kind of cool. That was something that I thought was really cool in the Dark Souls games, was how you'd have to like farm for certain resources, like the green moss or whatever. I think that's a really good mechanic for open world games, because it kind of forces you to go into particular areas that you may otherwise just sort of skip through. Which of course I like as a developer, because, you know, we spend all this time and effort making all these areas. I don't want people to just sort of, you know, go through them once and never come back. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one commenter says there's a cool immersive sim on sale on Steam that he may be making some fan art for. Yeah, make it. If you do, post it in our server. A tool to squeeze the acid out of them. That'd be memorable. Like that. Alright, how do I want to do these teeth? Are these even teeth? So here's the thing. If I do like... Right, like we kind of want this thing to be like rows and rows of teeth, but if they stick out too much, then that means we need lots and lots of polygons. And, you know, we also want to have swarms of these guys on screen, right? So they've got to be somewhat like low effort on the CPU, like well performance optimized. And if you look at the Skags, you know, they've only got a handful of teeth. And, you know, that's why. It's because, you know, they need to be low poly, because they need to have lots of them. I wonder if there's some way I can design it so that it kind of looks like teeth like this, but maybe it's just kind of like, you know, can just sort of be baked down in the texture. Yeah, what if... Nah, that doesn't really read his teeth. It's tricky. Hmm. That might work. Looks pretty dangerous. Yeah, that might. Maybe that might work. They're not so huge that they need to be modeled. Hopefully it's not too busy. I don't know, I'm kind of thinking maybe less is more. Looks nasty in a good way. Yeah, I guess that's the best we can hope for. This might work. It's kind of like a shark. It's probably worth a try. So the plan now, we're back in Maya. So the plan is to kind of start getting our low poly roughed in over this new mouth design, and then we can finish up our low poly for the rest of the creature, and then we can start baking these details down into textures and hopefully start getting an idea for the what this guy's gonna look like as a comprehensive whole. Yeah, for those of you that have, that have been there for the previous stream where we did the backpack, you already kind of have a sense for how much different these, really rough low poly meshes look once they have textures baked for them. Star Explorers. So we got a comment. McSpacebiff reminds me of Star Explorers in a good way. I've never heard of Star Explorers. Is it like Star Wars? Drop a link in the chat, I'll check it out. I mean, it would make sense that McSpacebiff would have a lot of similarities to a lot of different things because the main inspiration is basically just like pulp sci-fi, like from the 50s. So, you know, that stuff has inspired everything. So it's like, you know, it's kind of, you know, we're kind of drawing inspiration from the classics, and other people have drawn inspiration from the classics, so they're kind of like siblings. Okay, it's like a low poly No Man's Sky centered on survival, so it's a game, Star Explorers. I'm really looking forward to baking this. I think it's going to be pretty cool. But yeah, as always, with retopology, I'm trying to keep everything quads. I'm trying to have more density in areas that are going to bend, and less density in areas that won't. I'm trying to conform to the shape of the high detail mesh, and trying to never introduce too sharp of a surface change. Those are kind of like my rules. I'm just gonna build rough shapes right over top of all these ZBrush details, and just rely on my baked maps to kind of convey those details in the final product. What kind of stuff would you guys like to see in McSpacebiff? Any thoughts, anything in particular come to mind? Or what about for future streams? Any kind of like particular content you'd like to see? What kind of ideas am I referring to? I mean, I guess I kind of asked two questions. The first one is I was asking, like, what do you want to see from the game? Like, what kind of, gameplay do you think would fit? Like, what kind of, like, yeah, I don't know, just open-ended weapons, environments, mechanics. And then the other was just what kind of stuff would you like to see streamed? Like more of this, character, creature design, more level design like Harrison does, or more like maybe some, like, we haven't really done any programming yet on stream. We could try some like blueprint streams. Just kind of looking for, ideas and feedback. Or criticism. Is there anything you don't want to see? Like, absolutely never make a disgusting creature mouth like this on stream again, please. More creature mouths. Oh yeah, the co-op stream was fun. It's definitely hard. I personally had a hard time focusing on getting anything done. It's been a long time since I've, like, done work like in a loud environment, like with a lot of talking. like where I've got to listen, you know? Like I've worked out of like co-working spaces and stuff, and that's not too bad because, you know, you just tune everybody out. But yeah, it's been a while since I've like had a conversation while working. It was fun. Just got to kind of get back into that habit. It's like it's like a perishable skill, I guess. Oh, so okay, we've got a comment regarding game feature requests. I might be asking too much, but one thing I really like, especially in open world games, is very explorable buildings that give you pretty views of the world and make you curious about the lore. Yeah, you might be asking too much, sorry. uh, Mainly just because, like, you know, it's really tough to optimize like the whole open world enough so that you can like view it well. I know what you mean, because yeah, it's like it's cool looking out the window and like seeing like, oh, you can see this landmark from here. But yeah, it just like optimization in games is like awful to begin with, and then that would make it even harder. Like it's so much easier for us if it can just be like, you know, yeah, press E to open door to this building, and then, you know, you're just in that building and you can't see outside. The windows are all boarded up, or, you know, they're just, you know, the light outside is so bright, the windows are just white, that kind of thing. I mean, that's how they do it in, you know, Fallout. I agree, though, it would be really cool. That was one of, yeah. Yeah, when games do that, it is really impressive. I think, though, could you elaborate a little more on what you mean by how that makes you curious about the lore? Like what does being able to see outside have to do with the lore? Because like, couldn't we, you know, go pretty deep into lore without that? Something like Signal from Tolva. Sorry, I don't know that game either. I don't play enough games, guys. Link it. Send me the link. I'll check it out. Sim Cook. I personally would like to see little mechanics that aren't necessary by any means to beat the game that the player isn't told about. They have to get the idea and then experiment, open their minds. I felt like y'all did that a lot with Root, and experimentation was very often rewarded. Yeah, definitely. Root was a different kind of game. I mean, Root basically was an sim. McSpacebiff, I don't really envision it as being, you know, nearly as much of an sim, but I don't know, maybe it'll have those kinds of elements. A lot of you guys that hang out seem to be really into those, so, you know, I mean, you may influence us in that direction. Like the thing I said about throwing the pups, you wouldn't tell the player that. They would have to think, oh, they explode, and then, oh, I can pick things up, and then, what if I picked them up? Yeah, that is really good. I really like that. Yeah, I really like that. Like, kind of, because it makes the game into like a cohesive system, like with rules and, you know, cause and effects, and yeah, I definitely like that a lot. I think we can. I was originally not even planning on having like a pick things up mechanic in McSpacebiff, but the more I think about things like that, the more I think it's probably going to be worth it. Because yeah, we could do all sorts of just kind of interesting things. Yeah, I like that idea. Signal from Tolva kind of made it in a way where the buildings are just there for show, but you can climb them and look around. Okay, interesting. Yeah, well, okay, well, we could definitely have, I mean, we could certainly have, like, high pieces, like, high peaks or, like, you know, towers and things like that that you can get to the top of and look out from, or, like, mountaintops, stuff like that. We'll have some of that. We'll just probably want to have some buildings where they're kind of, you know, cordoned off from the main world. Oops. We can probably do a little bit of both. Oh, okay, like you have a tower with its upper half lying on the ground because it crumbled from age, and the only way to climb it is by walking through a series of planks on the crashed half first. That's cool. Yeah, I like stuff like that. And yeah, and then that figures into the lore, like maybe you find some audio logs or, you know, text logs that explain like a battle that happened there or something like that. I like that a lot. One thing that we are already kind of building out is your ship has a crash site, and where it crashed, it basically like tore a mountain apart. And so there's this like long like furrow through the ground where your ship crashed, and all the trees are dead around it. Not really the same thing, but yeah, but environmental storytelling like that, I love that kind of stuff. We are definitely going to have like ruins, you know, and the ruins will kind of be like, so like one of the environments will be like the ruins of an education center, which is basically where the colonists would go to learn like their ABCs, but it's all just like kind of fallen into ruins, and nobody really, like, everybody's gotten like so dumb over the generations that they think it's like a kind of a magic place that they have to like go on a pilgrimage to. And so, you know, you'll come across that place and you'll talk to one of the colonists, and he'll be, you know, having a real hard time like with the test because he's not very smart, and so that'll be like part of it is you got to figure that out and help him with that. Okay, let's see. So right, I've got a plan here. What I want to do is, so I've got this old piece. So I've got the old mouth that's hollow with no inside, and then we've got this new one. And so what I want to try is move to this frame that we generated this mesh from. Hide all this, and then hide the open one. And now what I'm hoping I can do is I'm going to try to bind this new one to the skeleton. Bind. And now... Okay, cool. So, gotta update the skinning. Perfect. Smooth out these influences a little. Haha, perfect. Look at that. So now we're back to where we started, and we've got an opening and closable mouth. Heck yeah, I wasn't sure if that was gonna work. I'm really glad that worked. Let me check that into source control. Let's see, what are influences, if I may ask? Asks ImSim Cook. Influences, so each bone can influence a number of vertices, and so the influences basically means like when I paint, you see how like these vertices are all black and these are white. That means this bone, this one right here, this bone is influencing the white vertices 100%, and it's influencing the black ones 0% and the gray ones between 100 and 0%, right? And so that's what skinning is all about, is, you know, painting these influences so that your model deforms in a convincing way. And so this is very nice, because now, like, I can basically export this in the open pose and bake the, you know, the mouth onto it. Yeah, this is just gonna make everything a little easier. Let me freeze those transforms. But I can also make sure that everything looks right when they're, you know, when the mouth is closed, right? Which is kind of a little challenging. So now, what I want to do is I want to take this, duplicate it, delete its history, but it still has these connections, so I'll just export it and delete it and re-import it. And there we go. Now I'm back to just having a mesh with no animation. So that's pretty nice. Alright, let me clean up in here a little bit. This is getting pretty messy. So this is our high poly sculpt. That is our animated mesh. And now this is our new not animated mesh. So I'm going to build off of this to create the rest of the body. Okay, so let's see. So we'll catch up on these comments about Signal from Tolva. There's two areas in the base game that I really love. One is the base game and one is the free story DLC. Base game has this giant tundra with dozens of towering rocks with markings all over each other. I had this theory that it must have been some graveyard for giants. The DLC, however, has this field that's like a massive quarry with giant machines that have long since been discontinued. Oh, that's awesome. You might have screenshots? Yeah, send them. Post them in our Discord. Nice. Yeah, so this game is so pretty with its world building. Sounds awesome. Yeah, sounds like I should check it out. Oh, one theme, like a thematic thing that I've been, that's like kind of, we haven't really highlighted it, but like, I'm really fascinated by this idea of like technology that's forgotten. So like high tech stuff that was built long ago that like the people living there today don't really understand. And yeah, like Idiocracy is all about that, obviously, right? But it's a comedy. But I also love like in Alien 3, which is kind of a terrible movie. At least I didn't think it was very good. But the way when it opens up, it's like she crash lands on this like prison planet, but it's like it's been abandoned for years. And it's being run by the inmates and like one guy like from corporate that's like, smart enough to, run it. But it's just really cool because there's all this like industrial machinery and stuff that's like left, and nobody, like none of them know how it works, and they've just been kind of like scavenging it and like trying to patch it along, and it's like, like they don't have like electricity all the time and stuff like that. Yeah, and it's got this really cool vibe, and so I love that, like, that theme of, like, the ancient tech was more advanced, and we don't even understand it. That's actually, like, a huge theme in Tolkien's writing, too. Like, in the Lord of the Rings, it's like everything is, like, so, like, degraded and fallen from what it was, like, in the first and second ages. And it's like all the like most powerful stuff is basically just like the oldest stuff, and all the smartest people are, the oldest people. It's kind of cool. I kind of like that sort of theme. So yeah, it sounds like this game you're talking about kind of touches on that. I'll have to check it out. So now, I'm gonna try and get this guy, get the base mesh going again. Then we can start baking these maps, and then we can start texturing, and then we can start rigging, and then we can start animating, and then we can start on the AI. We're almost done. When you put it that way, it's like, we're nearly, it'll be no time. Yeah, I think this guy would be a good candidate for an AI stream, because it's like, it'll be relatively simple. Plus, then I can just record that stream and then use that in my classes. So I think I'll probably do that for sure. Yeah, we do need more games that focus on ancient advanced tech or space mining. I mean, Halo. Halo was all about, like, ancient tech. There's, like, honestly just so much going on in Halo. It's kind of, like, about a little bit of everything. There was some cool stuff in Elder Scrolls kind of like that too, like the Dwemer, like the dwarves that are like gone and nobody knows what happened to them. That was pretty cool. Is Signal from Tolva a Russian game? The name Tolva sounds kind of Russian. Okay. I've been trying to, so I've been kind of studying some other languages, Russian being one of them, mainly just because, as a American, I only know English, and I've never really had a reason to study anything other than English. And I was kind of just thinking, surely there's like, it's got to be like bad for your brain to like never have to study another language, So I got into learning Russian, and it's pretty awesome. Because most of there's just so many cool games that are Russian, like Stalker and Metro, and gosh, there's a lot of other cool ones too. So I just kind of got into that. And so one of these days I want to play those games like actually, I like setting the, spoken audio to be Russian and then, with the English subtitles. Because then it's like kind of like immersive language learning. And that way I can kind of justify playing games because it's like, I'm killing two birds with one stone. I'm playing a game and I'm learning another language, right? Or at least I can tell myself that. Don't ask me to actually speak it. It would be, I don't know it at all, but it's fun. Right. Stalker's Ukrainian. Oh, sir, you are being hunted? That sounds familiar. I think I played that game, or at least like I remember seeing it. I need to make like a list of all the games that I need to play. Tell me about it. Sounds interesting. This is great. I should do these streams just to get game recommendations. That's honestly, like, worth it. Because it's like... It seems like it's so much work to, like, find stuff. It's like a life hack. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not gonna read that one out loud, but it kind of reminds me of Death Stranding. I guess the premise of this game that's being discussed is if you pee, you'll cause like some kind of cosmic cataclysm. So you've got to not do that. That was pretty much... I didn't finish Death Stranding, but that was pretty much the plot, right? Okay, so this is sure to be an unpopular opinion, and I haven't finished it yet either. But I started playing Metal Gear Solid, like the original, on an emulator, you know, because I don't have a PS1, and it's cool, and I get it, like it's old, you know, it's really old, so I mean, you know, I can forgive a lot of jank because it's old, right? I don't mind janky games, but I feel like it's not that good. I don't know. I'm prepared to be roasted. But I just felt like 90% of playing the game, I'm just like, oh man, I can't wait to see the next cutscene. Like, I can't wait to finish this, you know, whatever this gameplay is, so I can just see like the next, you know, awesome and hilarious cutscene, right? You know, and then it's just like, you know, I don't know, I feel like people, like, when it was new, probably just sort of like tolerated the gameplay because it was cool. And like, it's definitely cool, like it's a cool game, don't get me wrong. But I feel like people are like, oh, it's like such a, you know, masterpiece of gameplay, and it's like, well, I mean, I'll give you that it's like a masterpiece, but I don't know if I would say of gameplay, right? Like, I feel like the gameplay's pretty weird. And not just because of how old and janky it is either. Makes movies with gameplay interspersed. Yeah, that sounds about right. But yeah, it was funny because I was playing Death Stranding and I was like, man, this gameplay kind of really sucks. Like, this game, it's like, it's neat, but... And I want to like it. Like, I really wanted to like it, but I was just like, I just don't. You know, like, it was just... it was just like, it just felt like a waste of time. You know, so I was like, alright, well, I'll go check out Metal Gear then. And then it was kind of like, it's kind of like the same thing. You know, it was like, oh, this is kind of not that different. I'm just like trying to slog through the gameplay so I can like get to the next cutscene, you know, it's like, and I hate watching games like on YouTube, but I feel like I'd be better off just like sitting down and just watching like a compilation of all the cutscenes. I don't know. Part of that may just be because I don't have that much time. I do really hate watching games online though. Like, I'd much rather play them, or just like, even if I've got to wait 10 years to have a chance to play it, it's like, you know, it'll be there later. I'll just wait. I'll just wait and play it later. Yeah, I agree. Sim Cook, I think that the crazy limitations on what the player can see is pretty antithetical to strategy or tactics, and it's not even subjective limitations. You legit can't even see a lot of what Snake is looking at. Yeah, I totally agree. That there's this one part where it's like, I think it's like even the first time you get like the FAMAS or something like that. So it's like you get a new gun, and then there's like enemies that are like down this like catwalk that are, and you can't see them, and so you've gotta like aim the gun off screen to hit them. And it's like the first time you get the gun, and so it's like, that really just kind of ticked me off, because it's like, man, it's like you get that moment of like, oh, the new gun, this is awesome, and then you just get demolished, like in a way where it's like, if I could just see them, I know I could hit them with this gun, you know. And that really kind of bugged me. I like talking about any super obscure game because I'm a no-life who struggles to find an art-related job. Lol. Lol. Indeed. True. True. I think everybody's struggling to find an art-related job right now. most of my work I'm able to get is much more like code and like dev related, which I really kind of don't like because it's not like I like coding, you know, like I can enjoy it, but it's not really what I love doing, you know. Um, but yeah, it seems like it's really hard to get art related jobs these days because so many projects, it's like if you're just trying to make something kind of generic, like there are so many asset stores where you can get, you know, like a decent looking asset for, you know, $40, whereas to make the same thing, like I'm going to spend 40 hours to do it, you know, to do it right. And so it's like, you know, to pay me a survivable wage to do that, it's just going to be a heck of a lot more than $40, right? So yeah, it's tough. It's tough out there. I don't know what state you're in. I'm in Florida, and we really don't have much in the way of game dev here, at least to my knowledge. There's a few little studios in Orlando, um, but most of the opportunities here are like simulation jobs, like in defense, like Space Coast, that kind of stuff. You can get some pretty good jobs in, you know, game adjacent spaces like that. So if you're just looking to survive, that'd be my tip. See if you can find somewhere that's like not exactly game dev, but game dev adjacent. Oh, not even from the US. Whoa. What just happened? Can y'all still hear me? Hey, sorry about that. Can y'all still hear me? Something is going on with my computer. Still live. Great. You can struggle with me then. Spilled a little coffee on my keyboard earlier. Hopefully that doesn't have anything to do with this. Oh, you're from Poland. Home of CD Projekt Red, right? What is going on here? I think my Alt key is busted. What is going on here? Uh... Hmm. Well, guys, I might have to go. I'm having some technical difficulties with this keyboard. Oh, I wonder if... Oh, my language got changed. That's the problem. Okay, hang on. Ah. That would have been it. My Windows key is still giving me trouble. We might be okay. Nope, Alt and Windows are still not working right. Yeah, alright, sorry guys. I'm gonna have to fix this Alt key. Well, thanks for hanging out. We are almost there. I did manage to save my work at least, so nothing lost. We can just pick up next time. And it's been 2 hours, 20 minutes, so that's a, you know, pretty much average duration for the stream. But yeah, thanks for hanging out. I will get this keyboard fixed. And yeah, Harrison should be streaming tomorrow night at 8, his usual time. He'll be doing some more like environment design. I'll probably hang out in the chat. Probably while I'm, you know, multitasking, doing some other stuff. Alright, thanks man. Yeah, you too.